Do you think Travis Kelce actually listened to this album?
Whoo, nah. There's no way.
Like, wait, do you think like none of it or just like not the whole thing? Like, how much of it?
I think what he's heard is the songs that we mentioned where either she's talking about Matt or Kim and someone sent it to him and someone's like, yo, like, sure he's talking about, you know? Good afternoon, beautiful people. This is another episode of Album Mode. We review a new album every single week. We look at the lyrics, the production, the overall aesthetic of the album, how the album fits into the context of the artist's career. For everyone watching on YouTube, thank you for joining us. On our way to 5,000 subscribers, make sure you like this video, leave us a comment, and of course, make sure you're subscribed. My name is Adriel Smiley, aka AdrielSmiley.com, aka Adriel Smiley Official, aka The Godfather, and we are here with His Royal Highness, aka The Bunny, King Grant.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back, people. We're here with the infamous Taylor Swift and the Tortured Poets Department. One of these albums, actually it's a double album. I was going to say one of these albums, but it's a double album, which is basically the same thing, but the anthology. So much more dramatic, the anthology. All capitals, by the way. Taylor Swift has come back for us in 2024. She was here in 2023, and she was here years before with Evermore, Folklore. She has not left our presence. But because of her immense popularity, we are here again reviewing Taylor Swift's music.
Our fourth Taylor Swift review. And I think also why, for us, it may feel like we've done Taylor a lot because we've had a few sound bites where Taylor has been the lead topic. But Midnights, it was actually November 2022. Okay. It feels like it somehow was not that long ago. But November 2022. Can you remember what your score was for Midnights? We're going to go through the past few and see where Taylor's at with us.
I think it was a 6. I want to say a 6.
That's correct. You gave it a 6. I gave it a 5.5. And this is definitely something that you said that I was not with you on. I want to see if you still feel this way. You said Taylor Swift needs a Drake feature.
You know what? Honestly, when I was listening to this album, I'm like, Drake should just be writing her music at this point.
Wow. Drake goes right to Taylor Swift. Talk about a plot twist.
Yeah. I think that I think I've said this before, but I think that they're the same artists. They just make different styles of music, but like they rap and sing about literally the same shit all the time. The same people. Kim Kardashian, Drake, Kanye West, like they're rapping, singing about the same people. So it's not even that far of a jump. So I still would love to hear them swap on each other's albums. I'm dead serious about that. I think people think that's a little bit crazy, but if you just really think about their artistry and like what they make music about, it actually makes total sense for them to make if they wrote for each other.
I think there is overlap in terms of their themes in their music.
Yeah.
But I think that I just don't have that much, I don't think Taylor is that good vocally. And I think if they're going to
Neither is Drake.
But in a song together where Drake is the best singer is a crazy thing spot to be in. Like that's a crazy spot to be in. But we'll move on. Evermore, December 2020.
Yeah.
Do you remember what you gave Evermore?
I'm pretty sure I gave that like a 4.
You gave that a 6.
Oh, okay.
I gave it a 4. So Taylor's in the 6th spot for you.
Yeah.
And the last but not least, this album we actually really liked a lot. And looking back at this in the album mode feed, it's like before the new artwork. So it's a real throwback. July 2020, one of our first, I would say. Our second episode.
Yeah, it was a folklore review.
Yeah, and we actually did a double. Do you remember what the other album was?
Unknown T.
Unknown T was episode 1, so that's a good guess.
Dominic Fike.
No, I know that's your boy, but almost. This person we've never reviewed since, and this person actually got a good score from both of us, surprisingly. You'll be very surprised. We haven't reviewed them since.
You haven't reviewed them since. No, not Don. Is it a man or a woman?
A man. Hip hop.
Nav?
Logic.
Oh.
Yeah. I was like, we did a Logic review?
Yeah.
We both gave Logic an 8.
Yeah.
For No Pressure, his retirement album.
Yeah, which he's dropped like 3 albums since.
Yeah. I'm happy. I feel good about calling that he wasn't actually retiring. But for Folklore, we both like the album a lot right away. Do you remember what you gave Folklore?
I'm pretty sure I gave that a 9.
Yeah, you gave that a 9. I give that an 8. So Taylor, I think score-wise, for me, it's been a little more all over the place. She's been at least above average for you, but I wanted to highlight that going into this one because I do think that this is, it really is, you mentioned her compared to Drake. This is like the Drake run when he had Honest Nevermind, Her Loss, and For All the Dogs, and Certified Lover Boy, all in that span of 2 years where you were like, okay, we get it. This album feels like that, and I feel like we're at a point where, myself included, we're getting a bit of a Taylor fatigue.
Yeah, I'm at the point where I think that she's overexposed, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's this album, and then 3 months ago was the Grammys, where she announced this on stage. And then a month before that was the Super Bowl, where she and her new boo, Travis Kelce, are, all over everybody's TV screens. And I just feel like the NFL into the Grammys into now, that's just like, I need to stop seeing your face eventually. Like, I'm getting tired of it. I'm getting tired of the face. I'm sure a plethora of other people are getting tired of it. If you're a huge Swiftie, you're like, this is the best time I've ever had in my entire life. I'm seeing Taylor Swift everywhere I go. But it's getting, like, tiresome. Like, I'm over it. I'm over it.
I think she's in this space where she's not in that competent group where the music is always going to be competent.
I don't even know if that's true. I don't know if that's true.
Oof. I'll say she's still there in a competent group at a minimum. But I think that it's very similar to Beyonce in the way of, I think her staying in the public eye helps her sell these records and do these crazy numbers.
Absolutely.
I think that it's like almost an anti-Kendrick in a sense where someone goes away, you're excited for the comeback, you're like, okay, I can't wait. Taylor was like, I never went nowhere. I've been here the whole time, and y'all excited for me to be here the whole time. So I think that that's where she really, really shines. And I think that this is going to be, I think, a test for her. Like, we'll talk about it at the end in terms of how this affects her career, but it's going to be a test for her and how this is received and how this goes, because I think that it's an overexposure for people who are not diehard Taylor fans.
Yeah.
But even Taylor fans, I'm seeing them have a bit of fatigue as well. And I think that how you're perceived kind of outside of your fandom doesn't always affect you as an artist, but I think Taylor is such a big artist where that's going to be a part of it.
Yeah.
The Taylor fans always want to hear whatever she's up to, whoever her broke her heart last, they always want to hear that. I think the people on the periphery are kind of like, Taylor, we get it. Taylor, we get it. So I'm interested to see how that goes. And then last but not least, no single.
Yeah.
Is that really like a Taylor thing to do?
No, actually, Taylor Swift is very much like a pop artist, like a big time pop artist. So there's gonna be a single, and probably a second one, possibly even a third.
Yep.
This is one of those. I feel like it seems as though she is trying to trend more into becoming an album artist. Like, if you think of this and like Midnights and like Folklore and Evermore, like it seems as though she is shrinking the world, like the sonic world, and just like the artistic world of what Taylor Swift music is like and how it's perceived and how it projects. And I think that the no single thing is part of that. Like, even though she announced this album on stage at the Grammys, everything else has been very muted about this album. Like, the cover is black and white. All of the imagery about this album is black and white. It says tortured poets in the title. Like, it's all about being small, being insular, right? And it is. I'm not.
No, I know.
It's being small and insular. So I think that's the thing that she's trying to trend more towards. Like, I'm more of like a thinker, more of like a person who, like, when I write my stuff, like, this is like poetry.
She's going for more artsy and less poppy.
Yeah.
I always talk about the trifecta of a musician, where some people are more musician, more poet, or more entertainer. She's going very much in the I'm more poet. Yeah. That's where I'm at. It's in the title, but I think that this is such an interesting rebrand at this point in her career, because I think this has kind of been fed to us little by little with Folklore. And I think that that's a project that a lot of people have been rethinking about because of the sound of this project, where this is a very slow album from Taylor. She's not known for fast music in the first place, so I think that goes without saying. But I think that this is a very, very slow album.
It's also 2 hours long, by the way. If you're listening to both discs, because it's a double, this shit is 2 hours and 5 minutes long. Stop the nonsense.
No,
31 songs. Stop the nonsense.
This takes all day to listen to, basically. The one thing I do think that I thought from first listen from this project is that it was giving very much 2014 Lana Del Rey, an attempt at that, I think. And it's funny because I think Lana's on the come up now again.
I agree.
But when she had her fall off, so to speak, people were kind of over her, they were tired of that sound. And so to see Taylor bringing that back in a sense, I think is so interesting. And a lot of production here is very similar to other artists, other acts, but it's like a worse version of the other act. The one I thought of in particular was So Long London.
Yeah.
And I've been so confused with the score for this project because I'm like, there's bones here. There's bones in this project where it's like, if we tweak some things, like there's something here. And So Long London is that where those synths, that bass, the driving force of that song reminds me of the XX. Okay. And when the XX were at their peak and actually had their time, they also weren't the greatest vocalists, which I thought, okay, this is a good sound for Taylor to do because she's not a great vocalist herself. But something about that song feels flat to me.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is.
I think a lot of the songs, So Long London is a good example, is like, I think that she, like I mentioned, is like she wants it to feel small, right? But I think that by making her songs feel small and like insular, is that it becomes really bare bones and like boring. Like it becomes boring. And I think that's something that I don't think I've levied towards Taylor Swift's music before, but I'm saying it now, this shit was mad fucking boring. Like it was boring. Again, it's 2 hours. And I had to stop it multiple times because I'm like, I can't listen to it. It's so fucking boring.
I'm astonished by the hate this was getting online. I felt like everyone kind of got their confidence and said, okay, now I can say something to Taylor. Yeah. She's put out the album that I can say something about. But the one thing I think the world is agreeing with you on in this project, of it being boring, is one, some of these songs have so many plays on Spotify. Like,
yeah, they do.
Like, you know, goes So Long London, 42 million. And we're recording this on the Tuesday. So it's like, they're still writing to this project. She's still going to do amazing numbers. But what you do see is closer to the bottom, it gets lower and lower and lower.
Those are the best songs.
But I think some people didn't make it that far. and it's like a clear drop off. Like if you think about So Long London at 42 million, and then, you know, So High School at 17 million, less than half. And so I think that's a unique place when you come to this project, is people are not listening to this project in full.
Yeah.
And I think that is such a unique space for Taylor, who's been an album artist mostly for the past few years. Yeah. When this is an album that people are not really listening to this thing entirely.
Yeah, which is it's hard to, first of all, 2 hours of music, especially in 2024, is literally 4 albums. That's 4 albums right now.
Maybe more, like,
right. So that is already a problem. And then if you're not a diehard Swiftie, the sound, which is very, how do I describe it? First of all, Jack Antonoff is producing most of this shit. Get him the fuck out of the discography, bro. He's so.
She's Connect with Metro.
The other guy who is what's his name? Dessner?
Yes, yeah.
He's actually producing music. Jack Antonoff is like, here's wallpaper. Okay? Like when I listen to a song like, even a song like the Tortured Poets Society. Department, sorry. That goes into what you're talking about, where it's like a ripoff. It's a ripoff of Carly Rae Jepsen.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
there's another one like that too.
Yeah, there's multiple rips of Carly Rae Jepsen's music. Bro, like it's so obvious and it's so dull in the way that it gets ripped off. Because Carly Rae Jepsen's music is actually like lively, and she actually is like really lively singer, which I feel like Taylor Swift is again trying to be muted.
Yes,
trying to be muted. But if everything is muted and everything is like a copy, then you're just getting shades of gray.
I like that you brought up this song because what I had in my notes for this song was colorless. Yeah. It's like you're copying Carly Rae Jepsen, you're copying that sound, but you're taking all the color out of it, all the warmth out of it. Because I think traditionally this song could be something that could be a single. This could have been the single for this.
Yeah.
But I think that she took the good parts out of this song and said, let's turn them down and have this be more muted. So that one to me is when I like talk about back-to-back albums where the second song is not it. Like that one.
That's the title track too.
Yeah. And the other one, I Can Do It With a Broken Heart.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my days. We needed to not have that. Like, and I think let's go back one more time to Folklore, because I think Folklore is a perfect place to start with how people are hearing this project. That was a project where we mentioned a couple songs where she was swearing.
Yep.
And how kind of big a deal that was for Taylor, and the way she swore in these songs and making it a thing. They're swearing all over this project.
Yeah, she's totally into it now.
It's totally a thing.
Good for her.
She's grown up in a sense.
Yeah, becoming an adult, unlocking that self.
And I think that sonically, I Can Do It With a Broken Heart is that kind of hyper pop sound that you would more think that Taylor would do years ago. I think that this wouldn't be on Midnights. This wouldn't be on Folklore. Not on Evermore.
It's like in 1989 or something.
Yeah. It's almost a throwback.
Or Lover, maybe something like that.
Yeah, it's almost a throwback for her. And I think that doesn't work on here. It doesn't work. Period. To be honest with me, I don't think that song works. Period. But on this project especially, it doesn't work. And when I think about this album being the longest album of all time, it's like I Can Do It With a Broken Heart. It's like, what is that on here for? Especially when she doesn't have singles.
Yeah.
If you had singles, I get it. This is a single song. I get why it would be on here.
Give it back to Carly Rae Jepsen too. Give that one back to Carly Rae Jepsen.
But Carly Rae does better versions of this.
I know.
That's kind of the issue to me is it's like you're doing worse versions of songs we're familiar with.
Yeah.
Of artists we're familiar with. And it's like, Taylor, you're too big of an artist that we're not going to clock that.
Yeah, facts.
So I think that there's almost like a lack of self-awareness here where it's like, why does this fit in the album at all? So I Can Do It With a Broken Heart is one to me that I'm like, we could get that the fuck out of here.
Yeah. I would say that a lot of the songs are like that. I think that her, I guess, I'm trying to think of like why you would continue to collaborate with Jack Antonoff at this point, right? Because they've obviously done tons of songs together.
Yes,
Great for them. Okay? But you're getting to a point now where it's starting to sound really rote.
Yeah.
Really rote.
Yeah.
Really, really, really rote. And it honestly comes to me, I'm like, do you listen to your own music? Because if you did, and you listened to the first half, right, the top half.
Yeah.
You heard that, and then you went to the bottom, and you're like, yo, let me throw on some prophecy, the prophecy.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, these are of equivalent quality. These are near the same level of quality. And you're like, yes? Like, that's something that just confuses me, like the quality control, right? The quality control is just gone. Like, to drop 30 songs, 2 hours worth of music, and for it all to sound the same.
Super monotonous.
So much of it sounds the same is just, I don't understand. Like, I just don't get it. There are good tracks. Let me say that. There are some good tracks.
There are some good tracks, but it's not enough.
No.
It's not. And listen, we're gonna go back. We're gonna go backwards with this one because I think this whole album is backwards.
Mm-hmm.
To a few weeks ago when we reviewed one of the best albums of the year so far, I think, Cowboy Carter by Beyonce. I thought to myself, why was Taylor not involved in that album? Maybe they have their own beef and, but I thought about that because Post Malone starts off this project with Taylor. I said, remember when Taylor was considered a country artist? Remember when that was, we're so far from that now where it's like,
you don't even think about it.
You don't even mention that at all with her. But I thought about that and I said, there's a version of Taylor that would fit great on some of those Beyonce records from Cowboy Carter. I Can Fix Him, No Really I Can, is a version of that for me.
Yeah.
I think that...
I like that song, though.
No, I like that song. There's one of the songs I actually like from the first half.
Yeah, me too.
But I hear that song and I said, how did you get this in here and everything else doesn't really match as well? Because I think that a lot of the criticism online wasn't justified to me because it's a lot about how slow this album is.
Mhm.
And I said, she's made slow albums that have banged. Like, that's not the problem here.
Folklore, shout out to Folklore.
And as well.
Also, Black and White, I'm just realizing.
Yeah,
she's really going for this gray and black and white.
We're going back to that. Yeah. And I think that I Can Fix Him, production-wise, is a perfect mix of it being skeletal because basically half the song is just, you hear that little bass line in the background, you know, those stringy guitars, some cymbals, but it's very light percussion. And then as you get halfway through the song, it's more percussion, but still not much.
Yeah.
And that mix of, okay, there's at least a progression. It's not much of a progression, but there's at least a progression. You know, and I think when it comes to her album, it's like, that's what you said it was boring. That's what I thought of is some of these songs, it's almost like a progression completely. Mm-hmm. It's like we're in the same tone, the same tempo for the entire song. And what gives the song a little, you know, dynamism is, okay, we started out slow and now we're really hype. And then we slow down again. Okay. And then we change tempo over here. This album is, you could listen to 4 songs in a row and it's like nothing changed. Yeah. And so I Can Fix Him, to me, is the bright spot in this, where I said, the tempo is not the issue. Mm-hmm. The muted sound is not the issue. I think there is something there that she's kind of right to go for, and trying to own that. But I think the execution wasn't there. So seeing her get it right on I Can Fix Him kind of makes me look at the rest of the album differently, because I'm like, it's not as if this is a blind leading the blind. Yeah. They figured out something on this.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing I was getting at too. I'm like, how do you hear songs like I look at people and look in people's windows?
Yep.
And you're like, this is just as good as So High School. Like, who is the quality control, right? Because even in a double album, I'm trying to even think of people who drop double albums. Mm-hmm. They've gotten to a point where they're still able to shrink it to like 20 something. Even the longest Drake album is like 24 songs.
Yeah. Like, and that's the part that I think is like, this is more than a double to me. Like a normal double is like 23 to 26. Yeah. As in both albums are probably going to be 12 songs. Like, this is 2 albums that are 16 songs, which is already like,
that's outrageous, right? So that's my biggest issue. Quality control is literally gone. There is no quality control whatsoever.
What quality control?
Because you listen to So High School and you're like, this is almost a rock song, which she never does that. Yeah. And also, give Olivia Rodrigo her sound back, bro. Give it back to her, okay? So I think that's her issue. Like, too many issues. I'm saying one issue. I'm like, there's a plethora of them. Here, one song that I do like, and I think this is like a nice bridge for everything that's happening, is Florida.
Florida's one everyone
with
likes.
Her and Florence and the Machine. I wanted to say that Florence and the Machine is just showing Taylor Swift how to do these songs. And on this song, the vocals in the background that are like, that's like following the rest of the lyrics, the emotionality in the singing, even just like the pace of the song is much faster. But Taylor Swift is not lost on it. I just feel like she's a laggard. Yeah. Right? But it did show like she can exist doing this, and I don't understand why it takes somebody else to show up on your album, outperform you, to be like, oh, you know, it'd be cool to see if Taylor Swift actually attempted something like this.
I think the answer to me is that she's just not comfortable vocally on some of these songs, because even on Florida, like Florence singing compared to her singing, yeah, like you feel the difference.
Absolutely.
Pretty quickly.
Florida.
Yeah, you feel the difference. And so I think like, as much as, it is these muted tones and these muted sounds that she's going for, she doesn't even have the range to do something more with that. Because I think vocally is where these songs could shine, where maybe the production is muted, but vocally it's like taking it places. I think about a lot of The Weeknd's early music, where very toned down, very chill, but he is going off. He is spazzing out. Yeah. And Taylor doesn't even have that in her bag.
Yeah, because she's comparing The Weeknd and Taylor Swift, The Weeknd and Taylor Swift doesn't even have that. Yeah, like it's like one of these. I think that Taylor Swift is trapped in this like, so I did this outside and I did this outside and then we walked inside the house. Like, but it never leaves that. It's only that for an extended period of time. But then we go to, again, Florida, like that exclamation in the hook, the Florida, and then just the rest of the, like, you know, almost like guttural vocals. Does Taylor Swift even have a guttural? What does that sound like?
No, she doesn't. She does not.
I was listening to this album, and I was listening to what was it? Kill Amy. Oh, Thank You, Amy. Sorry, which is about Kim Kardashian, I believe, and she sounds so upset via the lyrics, right? But it's still sung in the same way, like this, and we're going outside. I can't believe you did this to me. But what does an angry Taylor Swift sound like? Does that even exist? What does that sound like? I don't know what that sounds like. And that's, like, for me, an indictment on her singing. For that emotional range to not exist in your singing, it's a massive problem.
I think that why I always have not been a huge Taylor Swift fan is I always felt like her music was soulless. I feel like there's a lot of emotion in it, but not a lot of soul. And especially that applies to her voice. And that's all over this thing.
Yeah.
And I think that she makes up for it with her lyrics, where her lyrics kind of show more emotion than her vocals can.
Yeah.
But I think that, especially at this point in her career where she's telling some of the same stories, maybe different people, but same stories, similar feelings, I think that that's where the next step would be. But I don't think that's kind of possible in a sense. I have two more things for production before we get to lyrics. This one is more or less the song overall. The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived. Crazy title.
I know, I like the title. Insane
title for a song. The rumor is that one is about Matt Healy. That is probably, I think, one of the most direct diss records, we'll call it, diss record from Taylor.
Yeah, it is definitely. Same with the Thank You, Amy is also, like, she's speaking to a person.
Yeah, and I think that why that has changed is because, you know, Matt Healy basically had the internet turn on him. all at once. And so it's okay. It's a safe space to hate on him. And I think Kim, you know, has been known for a long time for having a huge group of haters who kind of stick by her side in the worst way. So I think that those two songs really stood out to me because she's been known for, like, Sing About My Ex, Shout Out to My Ex. That's always been her vibe. But I think on a song like Smallest Man Who Ever Lived, there's a lot more vitriol in those lyrics.
Absolutely.
And then
but you said vitriol in the lyrics.
In the lyrics.
But not in the voice.
No.
Zero in the voice.
She doesn't have that. She doesn't have that. And then So High School, to me, this is where Taylor should take it next. I think this is Taylor's next step in terms of sonics, because I think that her songwriting as well as the way she sings will match over this kind of production. I don't think that it's gonna be that we're gonna be talking about the same thing if she did a whole album like So High School. You're right, Olivia Rodrigo gonna have something to say about that. I think Paramore gonna have something to say about that.
Yeah.
But I do think that this is the direction she should go in next. Miley Cyrus gonna have something to say about it too. But I think that that rock sound fits more ranges of vocalists than I think this muted. I don't know what you call this era of music, but this era of music sound. So I think that that's where she should go next. She should really dive into that, have that be her next sound. I think there's going to be moments like Florida where we're like, yeah, you don't have it here.
Yeah.
But I think there's going to be less of them with that sound.
I agree. I think that this is what, album 11?
11, yeah.
The fact that we're talking about, like, lack of vocal range while singing is, like, insane. That's actually insane. If you really think about that.
We started saying Drake sings better than her. That's how you know. That's how you know.
Well, at least when Drake sings, you can tell what emotion he's trying to convey. And I don't feel that with Taylor Swift. I think that I would say I appreciate some of the piano ballads. Okay, Peter is, like, probably the best her vocals matches up with an instrument to convey, like, an actual song. But other than that, I'm kind of out. I'm kind of out on the production. I feel like it's and I don't even think I'm out, and I don't feel like she was fighting to keep me in.
She wasn't even trying.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I love that you brought that up. Remember when we talked about that song, This Is Me Trying?
Yes.
And we were like, her vocals are so pathetic. but pathetic in a way it conveyed being pathetic.
What she's feeling, yes.
Yeah. Now it's just like it's pathetic because it's conveying no emotion. Like it's getting to the point where I'm just like, get me out of here, please. You know, like it's a different type. It's a bad pathetic. Before it was good pathetic, and we tried to convey that. Now it's a bad pathetic. Now it's just like a lifelessness.
Yeah, there's an expiry date on that kind of pathetic, I think. And I think that she's really going through that because, again, Folklore, when she made that change, we were here for it.
Yeah.
We were here for it.
And I didn't think I would ever really be like, I love a Taylor Swift album. I never thought I would be saying that.
You know, we were really here for it. And I think that on this project, she's exhausted that.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe to them, they think this was like Folklore the remix.
Mm-hmm.
But
it is black and white?
But not enough of a remix is what I would say.
Who do you think is the best feature on this? Which is pretty crazy to say about a Taylor Swift album.
I think it has to be Florence.
Yeah,
man. Yeah. Post Malone did his thing, like he's having a great year, but it has to be Florence because I think Florida is the standout song from this whole project.
Yeah, me too. Isn't it crazy how? Also, I think Post Malone is a better vocalist than Taylor Swift.
That's crazy.
You couldn't get him to do some goat voice, bro. Get him to do the vibrato in his singing, something that is like actually iconic. Like he's like one of the only people that really does that.
I think he's off of that.
Get him to do it. You're Taylor Swift, okay? You can tell whatever artist that features on your work to do whatever. It's not like, oh, you know, like you had Kendrick Lamar on your music, bro. Like,
wow, seeing this feature and the Beyonce feature, Post Malone's next project is going in a complete different direction.
Yeah, he's dropping a country album.
Yeah, it's going in a complete different direction. He's not goat voicing. He's keeping it chill.
That's disappointing. So yeah, I think the best feature is Florence and the Machine.
Mm-hmm.
Just showing Taylor Swift how it's done. Legitimately, that's what it felt like to me.
Mm-hmm.
Lyrically, how did you feel about this lyrically? Because we were talking about the sound, even though Taylor Swift is, I would say, a lyrical artist. Most people would say that.
Yeah.
Right. How did you feel about it lyrically? Is there anything that stood out to you, good or bad?
I have two quick ones. Like I don't want to spend a lot of time here because I think that this is where the Taylor fatigue is at its peak. Mm-hmm. Because I don't think this has not been her sound her whole career. The past few projects, excluding Midnight's, has been more of a slower sound. But I think lyrically, she's very much in, it feels like a similar place. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I brought up the song earlier, The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived. I think Taylor has been known for dissing her exes forever.
She was cooking him, though, that song.
No. Hooked him up. No, you can't listen to that song. He can't listen to that song at all. And I think that's part of the fatigue is like, yeah, I get it. We all hate our exes for sure. But it seems like people are tired of hearing that over and over again. And I think that's where lyrically she's in an interesting place because I think she's still good at it. But I think when people have heard it 11 times, it hits a different way. So yeah, on Down Bad, I want to talk about the chorus.
Okay. You don't like that she was saying Down Bad?
I'm sure Taylor talks like that.
Yeah, you don't think do you think Taylor Swift says Down Bad?
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Yeah. I'm not gonna discredit her. I think she says Down Bad.
Okay.
She says, for a moment I knew cosmic love. Now I'm down bad crying at the gym. Everything comes out, teenage petulance. Fuck it if I can't have him. I might just die, it would make no difference. Down bad waking up in blood. Staring at the sky, come back and pick me up. Fuck it if I can't have us. I might just not get up, I might stay. I think that there's two things in this. One, Taylor Swift is definitely part of the algorithm that is delulu is a salulu. She's part of that for sure. I have no questions.
Wow, it took you this long to find that out.
No, I think she's been like she's one of the leaders. Like when they have meetings, she's on the board.
Yeah, she's like, so what are we being delusional about today?
I think that's a big part of it. And then I think as well, the down bad crying at the gym. I saw someone tweet, who hasn't cried at the gym? I can relate to her. And I said, I've never cried at the gym.
I've never cried at the gym.
But I did date someone who did cry at the gym.
Wow.
And I thought about that when this song came on. I said, this is why I think the women love Taylor in a way that men will never understand. Because that's something that this woman who tweeted this was like, she thought everyone's going to agree with her.
Yeah.
And she was not met with any of that energy. And the only person I've ever met who cried at the gym is a woman.
Right.
And I thought to myself, I said, if a man talked about crying at the gym, it would just sound insane. Crying at the gym already sounds insane. But crying at the gym is almost so niche.
True.
Where it's like, if you don't get it, you're like, what the fuck are you doing crying at the gym?
Yeah.
If you do get it, you're like, oh my God, girl, yes. So I think she did a good job with that. But I want to go back to the end where she says, fuck it, if I can't have us, I might just not get up. I might stay. That is where I think the fatigue comes in lyrically, is the heartbreak's going on. She's hurt by someone, a breakup, a partner. And it's a very much of like, I'm fucked up now. Like, count me out. And that has been a lot of how it's been with Taylor.
Yeah.
And maybe there's no Taylor fans in the comments, let me know. Is there a song that I'm missing where she is on her I'm a strong woman shit and that breakup can't stop me? But it feels like every breakup, every song is literally like, it's the end.
Yeah,
what am I gonna
crushing.
do? You know what I mean? So I think that's where some of the Taylor fatigue is coming in, because it's like, we've all had heartbreak. We've all had heartbreak. But I think when you're publicly dating so often, where people are seeing you date multiple people, and then every time, no matter how long you're all dating for, this is the reaction. Like,
maybe I was trying to think of the answer to your question. Maybe Shake It Off?
Maybe.
Shake It Off is probably the only time, like, Taylor Swift is always the victim. She is, though.
Always.
She's like, we used to say that. It's so funny how, like, at the beginning of Taylor Swift's career, we used to say these things to disparage her. She's like always making songs about her exes. She's always the victim. It's always a cry fest, which was, I would say, a tinge true, right?
More than a tinge.
But over the progression of her career, it's just become that, like, it was like kind of like a barb, you know? Like, people just like kind of threw it at her. But now it's become like a truism. Like, I never really come to an instance where on this album, there's never a time where she's like, I did this and it's my fault, you know? Like, there's even a portion on...
Hold on, before you, let's bring this question back. I just ask it. It's funny how we always end up asking this when we do reviews of women's music.
Yeah.
But are you getting an apology from Taylor? Or is it going in the group chat?
You're not getting an apology for Taylor Swift. No, actually, I think she would apologize, but in like in a backhanded way. I don't think she would ever be like, I'm totally 100% sorry, this is my bad. She would say something like, yeah, I only did that because you did this. You know what I mean?
I think you're getting the apology, but it's like a ploy. Like, you haven't spoke to her in 3 weeks, and the apology is her way to bring you back in.
Oh, she's like, just teaming up with Future on the text messages.
It's like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I think that's what the apology is.
Oh man. So yeah, I think that's her that's one of her issues, I think, is that barb, that thing that we just people just said at the beginning. It was like young dudes usually that were saying that, has just become like a truism later on in her career, which I think is bad because you should be able to escape that. You know, you should be able to escape the things that people are just like constantly levying at your music. I just think that another good way to even show this was what was the song where she's like, I can do it with a broken heart. No, it was the song where she's like you know, she's living in the sandcastles that her boyfriend is like destroying. Do you know which song I'm talking about? Damn, why am I forgetting? I'm blanking on it right now. Oh my God. Oh, My Boy Only Breaks His Favorite Toys.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Right? So this is like a song, basically, like the metaphor is as clear as day, right? Her boy breaks her favorite toys. Her favorite toy is obviously her. And I think that there's one part where I'm like, all right, we're being a little, like, it's getting a little melodramatic.
Taylor Swift melodramatic?
It's getting a little bit melodramatic.
I never would have thought that.
Where is it? There's this part is like, she's like, my boy only breaks his favorite toys. I'm queen of sandcastles he destroys. Right? Where she is at this point where she is like, anything that they break, first of all, anything that the person breaks is like she's like the root cause. But she is still like, I'm the queen of the sandcastles that he destroys. Like, he's still doing it, right? I'm the queen. He is still demolishing my shit, right? There is never like, bro, I want her to be on the offensive. Get on the offensive one time, you know? Attack one time, you know? Come into the mix one time attacking somebody. And it's, you know, it's my fault, but I'm still out here doing it this way for this reason, you know? Like even on Thank Amy, where she is like, she is singing this portion where she says, I'm making this song but disguising all of like the lyrics so that people can't tell it's about you, but I want your kid to be singing the song to get back at you. Now we're talking. Now we're on the offensive, right? Now that's what I want to see. I want to see some attacks.
Big difference in the relationship dynamic in those two.
Yeah.
But you know who Taylor is? And if you're one of these women too, in the comments, let us know. Taylor is the woman who will tell the group chat, fuck him. I'm never going back. He's the worst. And then you FaceTime her and she's in his crib. That's who Taylor is. And so I think that what you're asking for, I would love as well. And let's go back to the Drake comparison. That's part of what has extended Drake's career in a sense is you have the for all the dog side of Drake. Yeah. It's not only the whiny, you know, singing side. You have the side that is threatening people's lives and rap beef side. And now we want Taylor to go that far, of course.
I want to see Taylor in a rap beef. Please. Song beef? Drop a song beef. Oh, you know, there's something. Go ahead. I want to.
No, go ahead.
There's a couple other things I wanted to talk about, so I didn't want to interrupt what you're saying.
Go ahead.
So I want to just throw out, there's some like cringe liners right here. This is on Torture Poets Department. She's like, we're modern idiots, and who's gonna hold you like me? Nobody. No fucking buddy. Nobody. You smoked, then ate 7 bars of chocolate. We declared Charlie Puth should be a bigger artist. I scratch your head, you fall asleep like a tattooed golden retriever. I mean, the hyper-literalism is atrocious. It actually is just terribly bad. I think that he ate 7 bars of chocolate and then said Charlie Puth should be a bigger artist. I just find it so ironic that Taylor Swift is like, mediocre artist should be a larger artist. And I'm like, wow, Taylor Swift, she's like, see, I see the...
It's like 3-dimensional chess, honestly. Like,
Taylor Swift.
Charlie, I see you. Listen, if I can do it, you could do it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the lines where I was just like, what? Like, really, Taylor? And I think, too, Taylor it's funny it's happening almost at the same time, but Taylor is, in a way, lyrically, the Kendrick Lamar of pop music.
No.
I'm telling you why, because lyrically, we've just been trained to love her lyrics. Like, I think that that's just something we've just been conditioned to do. And I think that this was the album where people started to say, okay, Taylor, listen, we let you get away with a lot of shit, but we're drawing the line.
Like, I hate it here where she's like, yo, this is like actually, I mean, when we say down bad, I mean, this is just like atrocious. My friends used to play a game where we'd pick a decade. We wish we lived instead of this. I'd say the 1830s, but without all the racists and getting married off for the highest bid. Woo! I mean, what's so great about the 1800s? What's so good? Like, to say that it's like, I want to go back to the 1800s, right? Without all the racists, but I want to be sold to the highest bidder for marriage.
Why should I cancel it? What am I missing here? What am I missing here? Like,
what are we talking about? Like, that was just literally one of the worst lyrics I've ever read in my entire life. I just thought it was just, I could not. You know how like we say people have yes men. Mm-hmm. Dave Chappelle did this skit once where he's like, sometimes you just need a no man. You know,
yeah,
you need somebody
classic.
to come by and see you and be like, no, man, like, that's 5 to 10. Like, this is, you're a line stepper for this. Like, what is this nonsense?
That's never going to happen with her.
This is nonsense.
And I think about 2 things on this project. One, the whole, like, shot at Kim Kardashian. Mm-hmm. It brought me back to when Kanye put Taylor in that line in his song, and Taylor acted like she was mad about it, and then Kim posted that video, or I guess part of her show where she exposes her, and I thought to myself, people didn't really hate Taylor at all for that. She just got a pass. It was like, yeah, of course she can lie. Who cares? Lie away. And I think about where she's at now, where that's kind of the place she's in, where whatever she says, no matter what it is, we're like, girl, feel what you want to feel. Mm-hmm. This one section of LOML, Love of My Life, I just thought this was pretty funny. I feel like this is something that I might try and find a way to say in real life, because I just thought it was so hilarious. All those plot twists and dynamite, Mr. Steal Your Girl, then make her cry. You said I'm the love of your life.
She said that in real life. I'm happy for her. Mr. Steal Your Girl. Do you think Taylor Swift says that in her real life?
For sure. She's old enough.
Okay.
She remembers when that nasty man made that phrase popular. So she's old enough. But that's just interesting to me. Mr. Steal Your Girl, then make her cry. It's like, why are you stealing the girl for, to make her cry? But I thought that was so interesting. It's like, yeah, you did that. You were the one that this girl wanted, and then you fumbled the bag or broke her heart. But I think there's a theme with all these lyrics, and you mentioned it before, of like a lot of being the victim. Mm-hmm. And I think that is probably lyrically the thing I want to see next. I think like that's the one thing that I feel like the next album, we cannot go into that next album.
Yeah.
With like an hour of being the victim.
Yeah, get out of the victim bag.
Like, I think there's a couple songs for sure. And I also feel like we don't need these songs that are just like going at all the exes, because personally, I think when it's Taylor that does it, it just doesn't come off as bitter as it really is. Mm-hmm. I think if this was Meg doing this, or Ariana Grande even, it comes off as way more bitter, and why are you still, holding that energy?
Yeah, because she does it for multiple albums, multiple songs per album.
And multiple people. It's like, I think about it this way, like, I almost forgot she was with Matt Healy because of, her and Kelsey been all over. When it's like, I don't know how long her and Matt were dating, but it's like, are you really still that mad at Matt? Like, if we're taking this from a real life perspective. And so it's like, but Taylor gets the pass where we're not treating it as she's so bitter, she's so this. And that's something that I particularly think of as like, is a white black thing. Where if a black woman had all these songs in every album, it's half the songs are about their bitter ex, it's like whole different energy.
That's true.
And
I agree.
And I think I'm thinking about it with the artists who are going to be dropping, like, coming up. Someone like Cardi B, her and Offset are not together anymore. Are we going to get a whole Offset diss song of her getting that Offset? That's going to come off super crazy. When Taylor does it,
everybody's like, oh yeah, whatever, it's totally fine.
And a lot of these guys are famous as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's a part of it where it's like she's getting this ultimate pass to just diss whoever and say whatever. When 9 times out of 10, she's in a new relationship when the album comes out.
I know, and she's singing about somebody else.
So I think that's pretty odd to me.
Okay, wait, I had one lyric, but I have one thing. My last lyric, but this is the last thing I want to also mention is, do you think Travis Kelce actually listened to this album?
Whoo, nah. There's no way.
Like, wait, do you think like none of it, or just like not the whole thing? Like, how much of it?
I think what he's heard is the songs that we mentioned, where either she's talking about Matt or Kim, and someone sent it to him, and someone's like, yo, like, you sure he's talking about, or he's heard the songs that she had sent to him before they were done. So she's like, oh, I'm working on this, babe. Yeah. Like, take a look. That's what he's heard.
Okay.
I think independently, he is not. And actually, maybe Post Malone. He seems like a Post Malone fan to me.
Okay.
So maybe you went and listened to that Post Malone song. But other than that, I don't think he independently went and listened to this.
Yeah.
Like, all these millions of streams on here, he ain't none of them.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think that he's probably heard, like, we're thinking of like all the dudes getting, written about, and then maybe 1 or 2 songs. So he's probably heard like 5 or 6 maximum.
Max, not 10. There's no
no.
Yeah, not 10.
I would be stunned if he heard 10 songs. My last lyric, this is actually good.
Okay.
Right? Good lyrics from Taylor Swift, which she does have, a handful of them. We mentioned some of the songs that we liked. This is I Can Fix Him, where we talked about earlier. This is probably the best song. And it's also, I think, the second shortest. Like, it's 2 minutes and 22 seconds, something like that. This is the very beginning. The smoke cloud billows out of his mouth like a freight train through a small town. The jokes that he told across the bar were revolting and far too loud. They shake their heads saying, God help her when I tell him he's my man. But your good Lord doesn't need to lift a finger. I can fix him. No, really, I can. And only I can. That's what I'm talking about. We're talking about character creation, great imagery, right? And then there's even, she is speaking as another person speaking to her, right? This was something that she was doing on Folklore, and we were like, this is masterpiece-worthy stuff. Fuck everything else, bro. Do the songs where she's actually constructing a person, constructing a world, constructing like a narrative, like actually being a storyteller. Imagine. She's incredible at that. She's actually really good at that. But all this personal stuff, even though it's new to her, because it happened to her, this personal stuff has been happening for her entire career. It just so happens to have a different name attached to the person. But we've been hearing the same shit for over a decade now.
Over a decade. But you highlighted the right song because those lyrics are still about Matt Healy.
Yeah.
But they don't, if you know, you know. If you're a Swiftie or you're on Genius, then you know. The lyrics that you hear them right away and you're like, who the fuck is this about? And that is the problem. This, because this is still talking about her life in the way that we're saying that she's doing too much of. I think talking about her life is fine. That's what you're supposed to do as an artist. That's part of that expression. But I think how she did it here is like, this could have been anybody. This could have been an imaginary man.
Yeah.
And so I think that is the tone of the lyrics to take, where I don't want to hear, Taylor Swift's lyrics and feel like I need to go on Rap Genius.
Yeah,
like,
and figure out who it's about. What the fuck?
So that's, to me, you're right. This is the best song to highlight because I think this is the example of what she should be doing.
Yeah. Create the characters. Like, sure, the character exists in real life, but the idea of like the smoke billowing out of their mouth like a freight train through a town. Give me more of that shit, bro.
Yeah.
That is real writing. This other stuff, like where it's so hyper literal, it's a drag, bro. It's a drag overall. So that's how I feel about her songwriting on this thing. Do you have anything else?
No, I want to talk about what this means for her career. I think cohesiveness, we can just...
Yeah, it's out of here. It's not cohesive. I mean, it is. It's cohesively very boring.
Very boring. This was a hard album to listen to all the way through.
Yeah.
Every time I listened to it all the way through.
I never listened to it all the way through in like a sitting. I'm genuine. I'm so serious about that.
The first time, I actually walked away from it.
Yeah, I had to. Every time I listen to it, I have to stop it. Like if I'm listening from song 1 to try to get to the bottom, I have to stop it. Like I cannot
hard.
listen to
it's
it all
hard.
the way through.
I think for a career, this is gonna hurt it. I think this is probably the first time I said this with a Taylor album because I think she's of that group of artists who they're almost gonna be unchanged by no matter what happens. Even the Harry Styles project, we didn't like it. Yeah, and he's become a way bigger artist since then.
Yeah.
So I think that this is, gonna hurt her because, like I said before, that armor she had of, okay, we have to like Taylor. She's artist and she writes and that's gone. I think I've seen the internet collectively say, okay, we can not like her music now. We feel comfortable to come outside and say, I hate this.
Yeah.
I think once that, cloak is gone from you, you can't get that back. And so I think her losing that completely with this project is going to change, I think, the way the casuals enjoy her music. I think the diehards.
Yeah, they're always going to be diehards.
Yeah, they're always going to be diehards. But I think that just giving that little bit of rope for the casual fan to say, no, I don't like Taylor. Because I think before Taylor was in that Kendrick group where if someone was a Taylor fan and they would say, yeah, I'm a Swiftie, I love Taylor, the response would be like, I know she's talented, but I don't really listen to her. And then now that person is confident to say, nah, she's fucking whack. Yeah. And that wasn't the case before. It was like a diplomatic answer, like something about politics, and you say, I don't know enough to comment on that. Yeah. That was that's what people answer when you talk about Taylor Swift. So I think her losing that is gonna really hurt her.
Yeah, and also I would consider this is probably going to be her most like popular album, just like off sheer sales, like
numbers wise, yeah.
2.3 million. She's on track to sell, which is mind-boggling. Yeah. In 2024. I think Adele sold like 3.1 or 3.2 million, and that was back like 10 years ago. So the fact that this is like going to be one of her most popular albums and it sucks is going to be an issue. I think that we saw something online where when this album first came out, there's a bunch of publications that dropped their review like within like 5 hours or like the day, like, you know, when the album came out, the review came out. And they were like 5 out of 5s, 10 out of 10s. And that to me,
wow.
I'm not even joking. Like you can just
No, I saw a couple of them. Yeah.
And that to me just shows like there is like a brain disconnect that is happening with Taylor Swift's music and those publications where it's either because you're just like praying that she shows up at your pub and you can get an interview.
Yeah.
Or you actually just like are so lost in the sauce of Taylor Swift's music that you cannot like look at it properly and just like analyze like what is happening, or you're afraid of the Swifties. You're just afraid.
I think it's a mix of all three. I think afraid of the Swifties is a big part of it.
I get like the fear of like Stan Twitter or something like that. Like I understand it because people do get doxxed or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I understand it.
No, we've dealt with it here too.
But I mean, if you're at the point where you have to give it like a 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10 or something like that, like it's disingenuous, don't even review it. Don't even review it because it's not true. Like it's so obvious. It's so obvious because as soon as you personally listen to it, you're like, this shit isn't a 10 out of 10. So there's no way. So I think that overall for her career, I think that it's going to be hurt because this is going to be one of her most popular, just sheer numbers, most popular albums. This is the most visible that she's been ever. Yeah. And the album is not good.
Yeah, it's almost like this was a lead up to a bad album. Like I think when I do the Drake comparison, I didn't love For All the Dogs. I think the Deluxe helped me like the album as a whole a lot better. But in Drake's case, it was, you know, CLB, Honestly Nevermind, leading up to Her Loss. And it was like, okay, I like Her Loss enough that I'm not mad that you put out all those other songs. I think if you look at this in the same way of this is Folklore, Evermore, Midnights, leading up to this, it's like, this is the worst one.
This fell flat on his face.
And so I think that hurts it. As well, I do think that it hurts an artist like her who is already a legacy act, already solidified, where your fans almost feel delusional. Like, I think that's where we're getting to, where the Taylor fans are going to tell you this is the best album that's been out this year, or this is... And I think that hurts your art in a sense when your fans now are part of your perception. Because she's at that level like Beyonce, Nicki Minaj, where her, like, when you think of them, you think of their fans. She has a hive. Yeah. And the Swifties. And it's like, now you're going to see where the general consensus of this album that is not good, but the Swifties are going to be saying it's the best thing since sliced bread. And that space between, you know, the people who are not on your payroll in a sense and the ones who are paying your bills, it's like that's gonna really, really hurt, I think, the overall perception. Yeah. So I think that's gonna hurt her for that reason. Let's talk about the cover. I actually like the cover, but I think that
this is for the original, not the deluxe. The original, I would say I like. I think it's like, you know, the black and white. She's going more for like almost like
talking about the one where she's standing up.
Yeah, the one where she's standing up. But right now I'm talking about this one. This one. I think that the fact that her eyes are cut off and stuff like that, cool. Like, you know, it makes it a little bit more mysterious, even though we know it's fucking Taylor Swift.
I think this is so funny to say, but I feel like this cover and like both versions of the cover, this is almost Taylor Swift like leaning into trying and be sexy. And
I do feel like for the first one, yeah, for sure.
And I think that she's in a unique spot where her dating history is extreme public. Everyone has seen her date everyone on the planet. You know, we know she's, you know, doing stuff. She's an adult, but this far into career, she hasn't made that switch of like, okay, you can look at me in a sexual way now. I'm owning it. Something we've seen Ariana Grande do as she's grown up. We've seen Miley Cyrus, the one I'm thinking of. And then I think even Olivia Rodrigo, at her age, from the last album to this one, you see that progression as well. Even Pink Pantheress as well. So I think maybe that's part of her success, of her never going that route of sexualizing herself in a way. But I think that when I look at the cover, I like it for the change from her. Because if you look at the cover of Folklore and this cover,
It's polar opposite.
Basically two different artists. But I think that this is kind of the part of her artistry that she hasn't, I guess, tapped into yet. Mm-hmm. And I think that there is, there's stuff on the floor left there. So I'm excited to see what she does with this going forward. Because to me, I'm like, after this, you're only gonna go forward. Mm-hmm. We're not gonna go backwards and put the 1800s dress on like we did in Folklore. It's like either we're gonna do a sexier pose or we're gonna have a different fit. Mm-hmm. So I'm just very interested to see where she takes this, because I compare to someone like Beyonce, who her sex appeal has been part of her career the whole time.
Yeah.
And Taylor's, kind of been the opposite in a sense. So I'm very excited to see how she goes.
Yeah, me too. I think that, but this is not even a sexy album though.
It's
so
not.
Why, I don't even know why she went for that on the cover. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So many things about this album do not make sense to me.
I think it's like, it's funny. To me, I'm looking at it as like it's her growing up in a sense. But I'm like,
we're growing up at 35 years old.
No, but I'm like, hasn't she done the growing up album like 4 times? Like that's what I'm like. Wasn't Midnight's her growing up too? And
I thought that was Reputation. I thought she was supposed to be a badass in Reputation.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm like, how much are you gonna grow up?
I guess not. So yeah, I think that the cover, just on like, the square that you see, it looks great. Contextually, it doesn't make any fucking sense.
No.
Okay. Do you think it's a no skips though?
There are so many skips. There are so many fucking skips. No, what's the opposite of a no skips, actually? What's the opposite of a no skips?
Skippable? I don't know. It's like,
because this is the opposite of a no skips.
Yeah, this is extremely
This
skippable.
is mostly skips.
Facts.
Like, there's more skips than not skips on this.
I agree.
Yeah, this... okay, look at the score.
Would you cop the vinyl, though?
Bro, I'm not copying this. This is gonna be 4 discs, like...
Yeah, facts. That's good.
Like...
That's crazy. Okay.
Like, sorry, last thing. Musically, this is one of the albums that is so hard to defend. Mm-hmm. Like, from a Swiftie fan or a music fan,
yeah,
so hard to defend. And it's like, because it's Taylor Swift, we're in this position where it's like, we know she knows better, but so hard to defend this musically.
Yeah, and she's dropped significantly better work. Like, yeah, Folklore, you can even say Evermore.
Midnight's was way better than this.
Midnight's was way better than this. 1989 was better than this. Obviously, Red, like, is this her worst album?
Let's in the comments.
Yeah, is this Taylor Swift's worst album? No, really. It's between this and Reputation.
This is worse, actually.
You think this is worse? It must be the worst album. Okay, so in that as we're saying that,
I want you to go first.
You want me to go first?
I want the Taylor fans in the comments.
Okay.
To when they get mad at us, they have your name at the beginning of the text.
Okay, and also make note of my Folklore record. This is my personal Folklore record, which is in a variant.
Also, go back to our 2022 albums of the year.
Yeah,
you had Folklore number 1, I believe.
I did.
I had it number 2.
Yeah,
so
it's not like we're just hating.
Yeah,
we've been listening,
but they heard the whole podcast. This is not going to save us.
So I'm gonna say I was about to say Folklore. Taylor Swift. The Tortured Poets Department. This is a 3 out of 10. This is bad. Like, genuinely. And I would say the back half, maybe like 6 out of the 15 songs in the back half, saved this from me giving it a 2. And I was genuinely going to give it a 2. This is one of the worst albums I've heard since we've been doing this podcast. It's this and the Nav album.
Putting her with Nav is kind of crazy. I think Nav's album is much better than this. That's a crazy part. I think that album's much better than this.
Okay, I think that this album's so fucking boring. It's so boring in its production. When people are featured, like Florence and the Machine, when Florence is featured, you're just like it's like the shroud just got lifted off of your face, and you're like, oh my god, this is what the music can sound like. And then the hyperliteral songwriting is so boring. It's so boring. It's so atrocious. Then we highlighted the lines about the 1830s thing without all the races. That was just dumb. It was just dumb.
Like, why is that even?
Yeah, I think there's saving graces. 1 and 2 songs, okay? 1 and 2 songs that we mentioned a couple of them where I was like, I Can Fix Him. It's a good track. Florida, that's a good track. Thank You, Amy. I like it because she was more on the offensive, right? But this sad sack, woe is me, everything is my fault, my boyfriend's destroying everything around me, I have no... I'm over it, bro.
Yeah,
I'm over it. I'm over it. Like, do
done.
something else, you know? And like, and she's capable of doing other things because we heard it before and we reviewed it before, right? Publicly, we have said this is good when we were listening to stuff by Taylor Swift. This sucks. It's a 3 out of 10.
I hate that this is where we're at because we haven't had the same score in a long time, and I also have it as a 3 out of 10. There was a moment where we used to have the exact same score for a few reviews in a row.
Yeah, and then we were getting worried. I'm like, oh man, maybe we're too similar.
Yeah, like we're just having that synergy without even talking about it.
Yeah.
This one, 3 out of 10 for me. To me, I think this is only even a 3 because it's Taylor Swift, and whether it's expenses or just competence level of producers, these are not badly produced songs, just maybe wrong artistic choices.
Yeah.
And I think that if this had been a newer artist who wasn't as established and this is the album they put out, it's a completely different story.
I don't think so.
I think Taylor only has the even grace to put something like this out because she's Taylor Swift.
I agree.
And I think that they're, thinking of it like that, this is one of the worst albums I've heard in a long time.
Facts.
This album has almost no replay value to me.
No.
This album doesn't have play value. You can't, even getting through this album is so tough. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't wait to do this review so I never had to listen to this again.
Facts.
I could not wait. Like, I had to cleanse my palate so many times. Like, I was just throwing on anything different. Like,
yeah, because I remember I usually tell the audience, I'm like, yo, every album that we listen to it like maybe 4 or 5 times before we talk about it. I'm gonna be honest with you, I kept this at like a 3. Like
3 is impressive.
Like I could not listen to it. I just couldn't. Like it got so drab. It just got so tiresome, so long, bro. It's 2 hours, bro. 2 hours, 30 songs.
Sorry, let me be positive. Okay, Swifties, I got you. This album is an amazing album to sleep to. If you're having problems sleeping and you're tossing and turning through the night, throw this on, you're getting a great 8 hours.
Yeah.
Like, guaranteed. So this, I think this is in a category for worst album of the year.
Yes.
I would probably lock this in right now. Like, don't even wait till December. Like, I can't see an album being worse than this because it's also so long.
Yeah.
I think, like, I can't even say there's a short version of the album that is good. That's usually the saving grace I give some albums where maybe it's 25 songs and like, hey, if you made this 18, good project.
Yeah.
You can't make this 18 and it's a good project.
Yeah.
There's not even enough of that to do this. So this is a very disappointing project. I think I'm interested to see how this changes how Taylor is perceived. Because I think that this is the most indefensible an album from her has been. I think that a lot of her albums have been like an acquired taste for the most part. And then there are some that unequivocally we have said that are great, but this one is not even an acquired taste. This is just like, how can you defend this? And this is your queen. So to me, 3 out of 10 for Taylor Swift's The Tortured Poets Department.
Yeah.
I like the title.
Yeah, me too. The title's cool.
Wasted title.
Yeah, the title is cool. I think the cover is good. Like, just the contents within the rapping is garbage.
You know what I foresee it before we wrap? This is going to be the album that's going to be on T-shirts like 20 years from now. And we're going to be the ones saying, that album fucking sucks. But kids are going to be wearing that to festivals, to the concerts.
Because it's probably one of the better looking covers for her, to be honest.
No, for sure. And the name of the project as well. Like,
yeah, but the album is garbage.
No. So thank you for joining us, all the Taylor Swift fans. I'm sorry you had to go through that. I'm sorry we had to go through that. None of us deserve that. So I apologize on behalf of Taylor Swift. But of course, make sure you find us on the interwebs at Album Mode Pod on Twitter, at Album Mode Pod on Instagram, at Album Mode Pod on TikTok, of course. Leave us a rating and a review. If you listen to the podcast on any podcast platforms, leave us a rating and a review, 5 stars, not a single star less. And of course, find us on YouTube at Album Mode on our way to 5,000. Make sure you like this video, share, subscribe, and of course, leave us a comment. And if you agree with us and you're a big Taylor hater, this is your time. This is your time to shine. We're not Taylor haters, but if you are,
this
is the comment section for you.
Off.
So Jump on in. Let us know how you feel. And of course, until next time, know yourself, know your worth.
Later days.
Thank God. We're done with that.